Welcome back, everyone, to another Plate Stack chat with me, Jason, joined by Tom and Sam. We're a few minutes later than usual, but CrossFit often push deadlines back, don't they? So why can't we do the same? This week, though, joining us around the Plate Stack, we're very happy to welcome Adam Kudryl.
Hiya.
Cudders, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, a bit tired after the weekend, but good, thank you.
Tired after the weekend. Did anything happen this weekend that could
Oh,
have caused you
wow.
to be a little bit tired
Yeah,
and
there might have
coincidentally
been.
caused you to be invited onto this podcast?
Exactly, yeah, there might have been the small matter of the CrossFit Masters quarterfinals. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I kind of already want to jump in on how did that go, but
Yeah.
that's we can't bury the lead that early. We've got to keep things alive a little bit. Let me just check in on the other guys for a second. Tom, you're looking serious. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to keep the balance right in life. Been doing a bit more training, and more than none is good. So there we go. So yeah, but I'm good, thank you.
I mean, force is strong with this one.
I was going to comment on how mellow he sounded when I was like, yeah, I'm good. Life is good. Channeling your inner Owen Wilson. Nice.
All right. Oh, that's
not
even Owen Wilson, is it? That's
Entirely.
That's Matthew McConaughey. I've got a story about Matthew McConaughey, but I won't go into it now.
You got to drop that one now.
Yeah, my
sign up to our Patreon.
Basically something to do with my mum.
Oh,
yeah, and Matthew McConaughey.
Do you call him Dad by any chance?
Well, now you're gonna want to sign up to the Patreon, yeah. If you'd met my mum, you'd know like shouting things like that out is a bad idea.
I was going to ask how Sam is, but I feel like we've in a roundabout way got there.
Yep. All right. That's how I am.
Oh.
We're good.
So the plan today was to talk about age groups. The age group quarterfinals have just come and gone. I have very mixed feelings about the age groups in general. On the one hand, I love the age groups. I've enjoyed working with the British Teen and Masters Championships, which meant when I was scrolling through Instagram, I came across a Chalking Fitness post that normally I would just slide by and not even give a second look. I was looking at the the rankings for the Teens and Masters, and so many names were like popping out that I'd met at the Teens and Masters Championships. So like got Ben Cole, Simon Wilson Story, Spencer Whitley. Who else is there? On the women, Kiara Silva, Hannah Went, Phoebe Davis, and then of course Kelly Friel. It was hosted at her box as well, and will be again this year. And it was great fun. Enjoyed like hanging out with these young kids and older guys and girls. All their experience was wonderful. So much fun. It's happening again this year, everyone. June are the qualifiers. September is the main event again at CrossFit Southampton. So get involved. I will be there. So there's the plug. That's wonderful. On the one hand, I love it, but at the same time, it hurts so much to watch these like kids destroying workouts that you just you think would absolutely crush you, and then you justify that because you're like, yeah, but they're young. If I'd started CrossFit when I was 12, I'd probably be a monster at 18 as well. But then you also get the older ones that are also crushing workouts that I would be crushed by. And like I've lost all my excuses at that point. So there's the dilemma.
I've moved beyond that, Jason, and I can just take joy in the performance of others.
I mean, I don't know what happened to Tom this week, but something.
It's so much less hard work.
Have you been taking your loser pills or something? Like?
I think he's got CBD in that coffee somewhere, hasn't he? He's very chill today.
But yes, so I actually stopped and read through an entire. Do you know what I did? I slid the slide, Tom. That's what I did. I actually slid to check the second slide on the Instagram post. So
wow,
and there is our complimentary Chalking Fitness plug as well. So you're welcome. But
it was phenomenal, though, isn't it? Right, to see so many names. Like I know it's unofficial at the moment, but we've got 30 kind of like athletes from across the UK and Ireland, or their either nationality is UK or Irish, and Netta Tucker, who is Czech, who are in like a top 30 position. Obviously, then there's many other athletes who are smashing it. You know, so many of the divisions are really competitive. So I know I only listed on there kind of like the top 3 or the top 5. But yeah, just great to see so many athletes in the taking part, because those taking part are in the top 10% of their age division as it is. Let's not forget that this is not the Open. This is the second stage. So everyone taking part is already in the top 10% of their age group, and then they're just thrashing it out over another weekend of tough workouts. So hats off to everyone.
Yeah, I mean the women's 40 to 44 divisions lit with UK women, like Kelly Marsh running first, Sam Briggs 5th. We've got Kelly Friel in there 3rd. 2 more in the top 30, I think. So yeah, they're really smashing it up there.
We could actually. I know we'll probably get on to what the next stage is, but we should actually turn it into a live event, right? That'd be, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
So before we hit the record button or the go live button or the on air button, whatever we want to call it, I was talking to Sam about this because, I guess we'll jump there now, just as you've teed this up. We'll come back to actually what happened in reality, but let's talk about what we'd like to see. I kind of feel at this point, an online semi-final, it becomes sort of redundant if you do an online open, an online quarterfinal to get to an online semi-final. Like that makes sense when COVID stopped some semi-finals, and it's like, okay, you can't go to an in-person one, but you'll do an online one. But even those were like region based, and it just seems a shame that we don't get to see them, because I think, okay, maybe for the teens there's always the potential that like, oh, I could make it to the games one day if I train hard. You know, I'm still young, I've got loads of time. But particularly for the masters, if they've got into CrossFit as a master, like they're probably going to be those athletes that a semi-final would be like, I know I'm never going to make it to the games, but I'd love to be at a semi-final. Like we have a lot of people that put that as their goal, you know, in the individual category or the teams category, that they just think, I just want to get to a semi-final. And I just don't see why we can't do that. Like not necessarily going to the same semi-finals, because maybe logistically that would be difficult, but setting up a separate semi-final for teens and masters.
For sure. I mean, if you think back to the days of regionals, a lot of people's goals were in the individual category was to hit regionals and get to regionals, because they knew they wouldn't hit the top 3 or 5 places going forward to the games. That was their main season goal, and the semi-finals has brought with it a reduced field for masters, with 10 per age group going through, instead of 20 when it was the age group online qualifier. So, but it does mean a kind of a longer season, if you like, or more involvement in the season for masters if they've got that semi-final stage. But with the in-person semi-finals, like Sid has got a masters event supporting it. I don't know about like the other stateside, but if they were formalized into a semi-final, would that be a good thing? I reckon it would.
Yeah, or I think there are other competitions. Like I was thinking, there's the is it the Masters Fitness Collective? In the States. Then I just mentioned the British Teens Championship, the British Masters Championship. CrossFit is making a point of licensing events. I mean, would it be so hard to find a few events around the world to say, hey, how about we bring you on specifically for teens and masters, or one specifically for teens, another specifically for masters, and maybe it wouldn't be to the same scale as the semi-finals for individual and team, but it would be something special for those athletes.
Yeah, for sure. At the last affiliate gathering in September down in London, it was one of the things that Rosa and team alluded to, that the masters field is going to shrink temporarily And then the goal over the next 5 years is to grow it again and maybe spin it off into its own event. So,
because the Masters are growing. I think we gone through a milestone recently where there are more Masters, maybe, or more age group athletes competing than kind of like 18 to 34-year-old athletes, right? So, now admittedly, typically like 18 to 54 can all compete in the open division because RX is usually the same. But yeah, there are overlapping age groups. But yeah, it'd be interesting because like they're only going to keep growing, right? As those who got into the sport get older, but equally more people find it. So it's kind of like, but maybe like say it's interesting. You'd had that communication that the Masters group were going to shrink before getting larger. Maybe there's an element there is that like once they're more resilient both physically but equally kind of like maybe politically, right? They're willing to kind of stick it out. They've built the garage gym, right? It's not like I'm going to quit now.
yeah. There's also like they're in the right place in life financially to splash the cash and go to events, and you see the other competitions like the European Championships have now taken age grouping a bit more seriously, and they've got previously it was just a 35 plus division, and as a 40 plus athlete you're like, I ain't even going to bother because I can't compete with somebody who's been doing CrossFit 10 years and is now 35, but they brought in a 45 plus division and are growing that. It's a small field at the moment. I think they're only taking 6 per age group, but it's growing. It's progress, and you've only got to look at the other sports like triathlon, for example, where the Masters field is huge and the Masters scene on the national and international level is massive.
It's a tricky one though, isn't it? Because like if you look at the average, I'm not the statistician here. I think we found that out last week. But stats are boring. But the idea of athletes, so generally CrossFit athletes are a little bit older. So your top athletes are sort of around 27 plus, right? So, and even if they have a shelf life of say 6 years, right? At the top. I mean, most of them haven't. We talked about it last week. Sam Briggs has been going to the games for like at least 12 years, 11 years, 10 years, 11 years, a lot of years. You've got Catherine David's daughter. You've got Annie Thora's daughter. All these guys have been going for a long time. Matt Fraser won 5 on the trot. Tia's won 5 on the trot. Like, that's a lot. And they could, Matt Fraser could carry on if he wanted to. He probably wouldn't win every year. Well, that's a question, isn't it? But would he win would he keep winning? But as soon as he hits 35, he's in a master. Does he come back in at 35, like to sort of tearing up the masters field? I think isn't Rich Froning like 34?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, but like you can look at Pat Vellner's 31, and he's been at the games. When did he start
8 years, 7 years?
Season? Yeah, since 2015.
Yeah,
so he's had like 7 seasons in fact, and he was regionals athlete before that for a couple of years. Yeah.
So as we say, like it is only going to get bigger, and hopefully, I mean, I think if you compare it to stuff like triathlon, then triathlon is huge, and I think there's potentially an element of, and I was talking to my dad actually about this a few years ago, about the idea of, generally sort of middle-aged fellas would get a car that they loved, and they would sort of, their hobby would be tinkering with their car. Yeah? Maybe. Well, you can't do that with cars anymore, either because they're just run by a battery or because they're just built and you don't really know how to do it anymore. So my dad went out and got a bike because it would keep him fit. He could mess around with it. If he broke it, he'd take it to the shop and they'd fix it. Like, it's not that much of a bigger deal. But generally speaking, older fellas are getting into fitness a little bit more, and even older, you know, I'm speaking because I was talking to my dad. I'm talking about fellas. I'm not saying it's not applicable to women, but that's his experience anyway. And I think that, as you say, that will only grow this sort of the older field, because people are finding wellness and fitness, and it's very popular.
Yeah. That's true. I think people are taking fitness a lot more seriously now as well. In the old, you know, when you're over 40, because life insurance depends on it, and quality of life depends on it. There's a lot more kind of things at play nowadays than there were before.
I've got to ask a couple of questions now. One, Sam, you kept saying my dad. We're not talking about Matthew McConaughey, right?
Oh right. No, my dad wishes he was Matthew McConaughey. Let's put it that way.
But I do think as well, talking about like, and this is again where the nature of CrossFit being such a relatively young sport means that you've kind of got like the first wave of masters, in the sense that it's now that we've kind of seen the kind of the old school CrossFitters, the OGs, transitioned into being masters, and you kind of start to recognize a lot of the names that were podiuming in the masters category, because you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember seeing them competing at the games as individuals. And then you've just mentioned a number of athletes that are, you know, getting close to that line to cross over into the masters categories. And then it's like someone like Sam Dance is like making a run for it this year, right? Like he's really determined to win the 35 to 40 category or whatever it is he's in. Pretty sure that's the one.
35 to 39, yeah.
35 to 39, yeah. And so that's interesting, because we will say, because at the same time, what's also happening that wasn't a factor before, but now is very much a factor, is these really young kids being incredibly strong, incredibly competitive, incredibly fit. So whereas you had someone that was maybe like in the masters category, but could anyway compete as an individual, it was, you know, they could still make it. That is becoming harder and harder as more and more of these younger athletes come up, because they're not coming in from another sport. They're coming in from CrossFit. They've trained CrossFit to do CrossFit, and so they're really good at CrossFit. But then, so you get the the masters category in particular. I mean, also that's why the teens category is growing, because more and more people are just starting to do CrossFit at an early age. But then the masters category, you're filling it up with people that are going from individual competition to masters athlete, and just like going up the ranks basically because of the nature of aging. And then you're getting more and more people that are still joining CrossFit from other sports like they did in the past. And they're like, you know, I used to play rugby at a pretty competitive level and I can't do that anymore, but I still want to scratch that competitive itch. CrossFit's the thing for me. So you're kind of filling from two different pools of people, which is why that growth seems to be kind of quite rapid. You know, in my opinion. What do I know?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comment, because like, what else is there out there for somebody that wants to be competitive as a master? There's fight sports, as long as you like being hit in the face. There's running and cycling, you know, and not a lot else. Really.
I love the fact that you haven't said a lot about that. There's running and cycling.
Running is not everybody's cup of tea.
although something like and I think you've done this, Cudders, if your Instagram tells me right. High rocks is a competitive thing that masters athletes certainly are involved in.
It's a great one for that, because different to CrossFit, you don't have to work on absolute strength and power. You know, it's pretty accessible.
It's almost sort of, well, it's a disadvantage to do that, in fact.
Exactly. It's disadvantage to be heavy.
You're telling me, you know. I'd be wicked at high rocks if I wasn't heavy, obviously.
For my height, and if I turn up at high rocks at 75 kilos, and compared to people at my height, I'm big, you know what I mean? So they're like 68 kilo whippets flying around on that track.
Sorry, Tom, go on, mate.
I was going to say, I think I mean, we're just talking about the CrossFit methodology in general for everyone, but the variety, I think, is very good for longevity. We know that that's what we're, I mean, yeah, it's still a young methodology as it's defined, but, you know, we touched on running there. Like, yeah, loads of people run, loads of people do triathlon and things, but some of those things can be quite kind of like, you know, you can pick up kind of like chronic injuries, right? You know, whether it be kind of like shin splints or plantar fasciitis, you know, when
a pretty one-dimensional exercise. That's why it's like everything's in the same plane. Cycling, swimming, running.
Great cardio, great for, I guess, you know, keeping active. But, you know, at least when you bring in some variety, whether that be a bit of variety in the form of triathlon or a bit more variety in the form of high rocks or even more variety in the form of like CrossFit methodology, like you're giving yourself more varied stimulus and equally more things that you can continue to train if you do pick up a little niggle, which we all know happens more as you get older.
Yeah. But like I was able to take my CrossFit training, do nothing specific for high rocks, not particularly been running because of an injury. Went and did the pro division and came 5th in my age group, you know, so the constantly varied functional movement has given me access to that sport without having to train specifically for it. You know, same for a park run, same for a local triathlon. So it does what it says on the tin in terms of CrossFit.
Yeah, and I think Tom's point about like being able to train around an injury as well is the thing that adds to it, because I've noticed in the years that I've been at the box that there have been people that have come in and have gone through various injuries, but been able to continue their training and just adapt it. So it's like, this is the workout. Okay, I can't do this at the moment because of this injury. Fine, you're going to be doing that. And you know, I've known people that have gone through like a long period where they couldn't snatch. So it was sort of like doing cleans when instead of snatching when that was in the there you are. Cutters is one of them. Yeah. But whereas, you know, if you're doing another sport that is more single movement specific and you pick up an injury that stops you, you're kind of out. You're just like, well, if I can't do that, then I can't do that. Whereas with CrossFit, you can be like, well, I can't do that one. Like, you know, I can't run at the moment. All right, every time they go out for a run, I jump on the bike. I can do all the movements with the barbell, so I'm just going to substitute that one thing, and then you know, slowly you incorporate running back in, or maybe you never do, and you just keep doing it, and you just can't run, but you can do everything else. But that obviously keeps people in, whereas in other sports or other fitness methodologies, maybe people fall out because just, you know, I loved it, but I just can't do it anymore because of this injury.
Well, it keeps not just in; it keeps them strong. You know, the amount of people that dropped out of triathlon club because of a foot, an ankle, a stress injury, a shin splint injury, and their answer was just to sit on the bike and do turbo training. You know, and they're losing all their impact, all their bone density building exercise, all their strength. You know, because their mindset isn't. They've got quite a closed group of exercises they used to train. Whereas we're anything, we'll do anything, won't we?
We'll do anything. They should change their tagline. It should be that CrossFit will do anything.
I just generally do as I'm told.
That's a good way to be.
Just turn it. Well, that's it. It's about trusting. For me, like I really trust my coaches and I trust the programming. You know, so actually, I know that they're programming to make us. So I know that. I mean, you've got your JST Compete t-shirt on, and I imagine they program for you, do they? Or you follow their programming as well?
I follow their online program, but they, in between the Open and quarterfinals, they had a special track for people who qualified quarterfinals, masters or team, and specific build up to the quarterfinals, which included a really nice peak where Monday before quarterfinals I felt absolutely effing fantastic, on top of the world, ready to attack the workouts when they were released on Thursday. So that was fantastic, and the kind of that was a prompt for me to give a shout out to them for really doing that. I think it was a new thing this year, but it just meant I went into quarterfinals with heaps of confidence, feeling really good, fit, strong, ready for it.
Well, and that's where sort of you know, I trust the guys I trust Sam, who does the programming at our gym, and I know that he's not trying to train me to, generally speaking, we train to sort of peak around the open so that the members get a good shot at the open. But I know that in our area, we're not in a city, we're in sort of a big-ish town, and he's programming for the people who come to the gym rather than like your JST competes. There are people there who will want to be competing, and that's great. But the general person is, they want to be good at life, right? That's their sort of aim, and trying to stay injury free and, working things. And it's about trusting that, and I really feel a sense of trust in my coaches. And that's sort of what keeps me coming back to CrossFit, not just because I can train around injuries and not just because I can think, but actually I could just turn up. I don't even really have to think about what it is that I'm doing. The class is already programmed, and there's some sort of thinking that's gone into it. It's not just, oh yeah, we'll do that today. It's unknown and unknowable to me.
Yeah.
When I turn up, maybe, or is that a get out clause for we'll just wing it?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. I trust that, and I really enjoy that element of CrossFit.
Yeah.
Let's talking of the quarterfinals, great that you had that run up to quarterfinals. And nice to see that there was a bit more variety in the programming. It wasn't just cut and paste. I mean, I think last year, don't know how it worked with the age groups, but I know sometimes people ended up doing the same workout like 2 or 3 times, depending on which divisions they were in. Like toaster bar and alternating dumbbell snatches is like workout one. A 30-kilo dumbbell, I guess if you're serious about competing,
32.
Well,
exactly, 32.
Controversy.
You beat me to this. So what I was going to say is I think maybe if you're serious about competing, then you're regularly introducing a 30-kilo dumbbell into your training. But a 32.5, that's probably unusual for anyone who works in the metric system. I imagine it was difficult for people to get hold of, never mind to say move it.
Yeah, it was an interesting.
We also have to interject at this point because another reason I was really happy to get Cutters on today was that back on episode 66, when we first started talking about when they released the equipment list and the program and all of that, we were talking about the dumbbell weight. And because it was like Sam and Matt and me, we were sort of saying, well, okay, that you're going to have to go with a 32.5, but so is like everyone in the UK. So that means when the same people are going to get to the semi-finals, and then at the semi-finals, you're all using the same equipment. So it's kind of, and then if you get to the games, you're using the same equipment again. But you posted a comment on that video. So guys, we do go back and read the comments, and actually a lot of people left comments last week. So thank you very much. We do go back and look, but you left a comment saying about the fact that, that might be true for the individuals and the teams, but you're working on a worldwide leaderboard.
Yes,
so
that's right.
You are actually having to lift more than people that have dumbbells in pounds.
Exactly.
And we didn't think about that, and that's why I realized if we're going to talk about this age group thing, we need someone on here that maybe knows what they're talking about. So I just wanted to
it was a pain in the butt because I went out and ordered a 32-kilo dumbbell. In fact, found one quite easily as soon as the equipment list was released. Because 32 kilos is the nearest to 70 pounds. Yes, I think 70 pounds is 31.75 kilos or something like that. So I ordered one, got one in. I've never really used that weight before and started working with it. And my query to CrossFit, which was still outstanding, is can I use the 32? Because they put their official translation as a 32.5, so 800 grams more, nearly a kilo more than the rest of the world, on a worldwide leaderboard. So everyone who's working in pounds has had quite an easier ride on the dumbbell, particularly people like me who've had to scale up from using a 22.5 routinely, in a matter of like however long it was between the open and the quarterfinals. Not long, 6 weeks. So bit of a pain in the butt, but you got to roll with it. So good workout.
How did the workout go? I was going to ask, how was it?
Yeah, pretty good. I messed up my strategy. I had my strategy in my head, and then, as you do, jump up on the pull-up bar feeling good, goes out the window.
Did you go unbroken?
On
your first set?
I split it in two. I was going to go unbroken, and then I was just like, I got to 10. I was like, don't be stupid, and did 12 and 8. And then into the first set of snatches, fine. I did 12 and 8 on that with a little break at 12. But it just ruined me for the second and third round on the toaster bar. I should have gone with my original plan, which was 7-7-6, really short break on the toaster bar, power through the snatches, and I reckon I'd have probably done. I'm going to do it again later this week because why not? But I reckon I could probably knock about a minute off with the strategy I originally had in mind. Idiot. Yeah,
I'm taking some notes now.
Yeah, but it was a very good workout. Actually, thought it was a really nice test. Thinking about open, quarterfinals, semi-finals, games, it's a good progression. It's a good filtering the right people, heavier dumbbell, high skill gymnastics. Yeah, liked it.
Nice. I was waiting for Tom to go back in because I felt like that was part one of what was going to be multiple questions.
I mean, it could be. I guess, like, I'm just going to jump quickly ahead to workout 3 because we got shuttle runs again, which, you'd think third time a charm, right? I mean, like, there's plenty of video review going on. So whilst I've posted the rankings, like, they are unofficial, they're pending video review, but shuttle runs continues to bring in kind of like a bit of uncertainty there, and then you got the rope climb as well, right? You have to go find a 15-foot rope, which I've definitely seen people training in unusual places, which I guess is because not everyone has access to high ceilings. So
yeah, it's true.
How is it up at All Fitness? Do you have the
we
rope?
got a 15-foot rope easily, so no problem there at all. Probably my favourite workout. This one was really enjoyed it. And my highest position, I think I was 195 in the world on that one. Really enjoyed it. Real good grip test. I did have Parkinson's arm at one point where I think it was the round of 5 rope climbs, and I jumped up and the left hand connected and the right hand didn't do what my brain told it to do and just missed the rope and fell off. But pulled it back, got the round of 6 done. Which I was really pleased with. Really enjoyed that workout. It's good. Again, a good test because it was engine plus grip plus high skill. If you call rope climbs high skill,
I think we can.
I'd say they're pretty.
Yeah,
I'd say they're pretty high skill.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because we'd call them high skill. Yeah, you remember doing them like in PE class at school.
Yeah. Well, not since. Since.
They're high skill because you've never did them after that. That's basically why.
Well, aren't they high skill because no one could ever get to the top in PE at school?
Yeah.
Because no one actually taught you how to climb the rope.
Yeah.
Well, no one ever taught you how to climb the rope. They're like, here's a rope, up you go. Like, okay, I'll just I'll just rip my hands and hope for the best.
And you've got that one of those thin rubber mats at the bottom in case you fall off.
Yeah. Well, I was obviously at school, one of the larger lads, so I was never gonna just be able to pull myself up, not using my legs, or get rope burn all the way down. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But now I've got technique, so it's on my side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, rope burn. Those PE knickers in school didn't cover much, did they?
They did not, my friend. only those in the age group online qualifiers would know about that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless the masters age group online qualifiers. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
You can do it in your pants. Yeah, it's £3.
Forgot your kit. Lost property is boy.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say, rather than go through like every workout, and I guess this is more just to kind of get like a holistic view of it, like looking at the workouts relative to say like the individuals, right? Is you've got a total, so you've got like your lifts in there, like okay, you've got the CrossFit total rather than the other CrossFit total, but there isn't. You've got the heavy dumbbell is the kind of like shifting heavier weight for reps. There isn't the heavy barbell that they had in workout 5 for individuals. There seems to be quite a heavy lean towards more like volume of gymnastics and some high skill gymnastics. Like, did you feel? Do you agree with? I didn't do the workout, so I'm it's very much from the outside view. Did you look at these and think, oh, that was missing?
Yeah, definitely. I thought workout 2 was junk. It was just absolute waste of Jeffing time. Bar facing burpees we'd already done to death with deadlifts in the open, with a heavier barbell than appeared in the quarterfinals. It was just crap workout, very light. And if we look at overhead squats, I know it's high volume, but overhead squats for age group online qualifier last year was, I think, 75 or 83 kilos. I can't remember which, but I remember it's extremely painful. So they seem to have gone one end of the spectrum to the other. On the total, I would quite like to have seen something that was more judgeable, to keep everybody on the same standard. And I thought, there's so much sketchiness in squat, and there's so much sketchiness in the press.
Did you bounce it?
No, did I? Yeah. I'm a bastion of clean movement. I have to be, but like for my box, being a coach there, always hold myself to high standards. And no, but like plenty of people did though.
Yeah, I mean, I made that as a flippant comment, but I imagine there's plenty of get a little bit of a whip going.
Yeah. Go and look on Andrew Hiller's YouTube channel. Yeah, I think he's done about 10 videos about the Masters already. So, but back squat equally. I don't know. It would have been better with something like a heavy single or heavy triple overhead squat, heavy double shoulder to overhead, heavy clean as a 3-2-1, something like that. That's kind of really testing power, dynamic movement, skill, and easier to judge with a shoulder to overhead, and with a clean.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about workout too. Looking at it in more detail again from the outside, it does seem more of like a training chipper than it does like an exciting kind of competitive workout. A lot of reps, but
like and people said, it's got pistols and muscle ups in it, but it's like 20 pistols after 20 bar facing burpees. So after quite a good rest on your legs after the walking lunges, you've got 2 sets of bar facing burpees and some light cleans. So 20 pistols was not taxing at all. And then you're pretty fresh upper body going into the muscle ups. So I
mean, you've just done 90 bar facing burpees.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot to me.
Yeah. There's a fair few. Yeah.
That's like, what is that like? It's going to be like 7 minutes of bar facing burpees for a fast person.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't leave you very long left. I was going to say, it doesn't leave you very long left for the rest.
No. But it worked out all right. I think I got to finish the pistols about 18 minutes, something like that. But it's really frustrating because after I'd done it, I was like, in the open, I found a really fast burpee pace on the deadlift burpee workout. Yeah, I found a good technique which I nicked off Froning. Yeah, which is a step up, sideways, jump over, and straight into the next one. Completely forgot about it until after the workout, and I reckon I could have got to the muscle ups probably about 2 minutes quicker if I'd used that technique. Yeah, really frustrating. Not doing the workout again. It's horrendous. It's pointless. It's a crap workout.
Were the standards the same for the burpee as they had been in the open? Which again is amazing because that was another thing that there was like so much sort of confusion and speculation over like, well, according to the rules, this is acceptable, and I can jump like this. But that's not what we meant. Come on, it's this. And again, like this is where my, and you've mentioned this as well on the total, that there were movements that are kind of debatable and sketchy and sometimes really hard to tell in a video as well, like just depending on where the camera is positioned, like so it's already sketchy and then it's made worse by it being a video, and then there isn't that live in-person event to sort of just check it, kind of double check at the end before we send you to the games. We're just going to give you something in person where we can really make sure the standards are the standards that we want kept, that you've got in-person judging, you've got a head judge, some CrossFit is like on top of this, and this is where again I feel like there was outrage in the past when people went from the Open to the Games. Like, oh, this isn't enough to that they need that in-person element, and it's just kind of lacking here.
I think like back to Tom's question, as an overall test, I think because semi-finals is top 30, no disrespect to anybody that gets there, but I think there's going to be a separation on the semi-finals leaderboard between the people that are games ready and the rest. I think there's going to be a rift because not enough high skill was covered in quarterfinals, not enough heavy barbell cycling was covered in quarterfinals. I don't think it was a rounded enough test to take people then to a semi-final where you've got 30 pretty similar athletes fighting it out for the games. I think there's going to be like cream and then everybody else.
Talking of like video review and it being virtual, that's been a massive Andrew Hiller's been really highlighted a few things, and it's really something that's coming out this year. I think whilst we had video reviews in the individual for the quarterfinals last year and actually the semi-finals to some degree, unless they had to find themselves a judge, but either way, I think last year people were just grateful to have anything, and it was a little bit of a kind of like beta version of this. But what we're seeing here is a lot of kind of there are continuing kind of frustrations, the shuttle runs, kind of things like that. And it sounds like there's other things as well from the age groups, but it's kind of like a new thing within the individuals and the teams to have like large amount, and especially when there's more and more on the line with respect to competitive CrossFit, because people are trying to make careers out of it. So like when their season is dictated by however many kind of like virtual workouts, I'm just wondering, but I recognize the Masters community have had the online age group qualifier for years, which has always been like video. So are you a bit more weathered to that kind of like not kind of having a live event? We talk about not having a live event until Madison, but that's been the case for age group online, for the age groups. I
mean, it's only my second year making the next stage. But I don't know. I think I've been in the world of video submission qualifiers for quite a number of years. So it's kind of the norm.
Is that just telling us how old you are?
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time now.
I think I did my first video submission qualifier on a
VCR.
Not quite that. I was going to say an iPhone 3, I think, or something like that. So for quite a few years, and it's just What's frustrating? What really is frustrating is that people don't just read the standards. The whole f up about shuttle runs for individuals, and it was showed up on the Masters leaderboard and was quickly dealt with. Was people not reading the instructions? There's nothing wrong with shuttle runs per se. And perhaps saying there and back is 1 rep is confusing. There and back maybe should be 2 reps. And that would have been clearer for people. But there's probably 50% of us that read it and 50% of us that didn't read it, and then 50% of us that did it right.
Which I find fascinating. Like, I get that in the Open. I absolutely, with the mass participation of the Open, and that people are just kind of doing it because everyone at the box is doing it, and they don't really care, and they know they're going to end up somewhere near the bottom anyway, so it doesn't matter. So they're not maybe sitting home and studiously going through the standards and making sure that everything, even though they should, they're not. But once you're kind of at that level, you feel like at this point you really need to know what you like. It's just kind of one of the things where I find it amazing that you can't sit down and read it, and if you have doubts, get them checked. But at the same time, if you have doubts, check. Well, you had doubts about a dumbbell, you checked, and we go back to you. So maybe
I emailed CrossFit and then I realised, it's like 2 a.m. there, and nobody's going to get back to me before I've had a chance to do my workout, sort of thing. But also having a good judge. I mean, like I had my wife judge me, and she's harsh, but she's a former.
It's at this point I had my wife judge me, and obviously she's the best in the world.
But she's a former Masters European level swimmer. And so she kind of gets competition and that, and the importance of submitting a solid video with your workout, you know. But you look at some of them, you know, some of the videos even Hill has identified where, yeah, you can, their judges a rep counter, yeah, whether or not the rep counts, you know, that's really disappointing because these judges have had to go through and do the online judges course in order to judge for quarterfinals, yeah. So they have. It's not just your mate down the box, you know. They've gone through that process. They've done the tests of what a good rep is, and then they don't follow through with the judging. Really frustrating.
Here's an unpopular opinion. So one of the things I was thinking is that recognizing these things are at best disruptive, at worst kind of destructive in terms of getting the right people progressing to where they should. Now, at the moment, it's top 10% in age group, in individual that progress to the quarterfinals. Yeah. Should it be something different? Should it be top 5%? Should it be top 3%? Well, I was thinking about this, and I was like, but is that being too exclusive? And then you've got the worry that people get now, because you could still argue those that need to make it towards the games are going to make it. There's the other element is that it keeps more people involved for longer.
Yeah, I think that's better as well. And you know, even if I take it down to a national level competition, Tech, I said, have gone for a 45+ division, but they're taking 6 people through. I'm not even going to bother entering because I know I'm not top 6 in the UK. You know, to me,
but you might be top 6 of the people that
enter. Yeah. But
but you won't know that until you enter. But I was going back to we were talking. So just quickly, Tyler's put something in saying could be said for endurance. I can't remember what. I don't know when that came in.
I think we were talking about the variety of tests at that point when that came up.
So it wasn't endurance wasn't tested because there wasn't a long enough workout, basically.
Yeah, not particularly. I think going through burpees and then to a low tax barbell or body weight movement's not really a test of endurance. No. There was plenty of space to get your breath back on that one.
And hello, I assume this is the Ben Cole.
This is the 19th. Well, currently unofficially the 19th. Fittest 16 to 17-year-old Ben Cole
in the world.
Congratulations, Ben. Well done.
I mean, I would say he's probably the fittest Ben Cole in the world, but the 16 to 17-year-old, yes, then he's 19th.
Yeah, definitely.
But
but I was going back to what we were saying about mass participation, because you know, we were saying, it's not mass participation like the Open. You have to remember, I was just going through, just in the women's categories, just in the women's masters categories, there were like 3,500 people. So the top 10% is like 3,500 to, I think it's between 3,000 and 4,000, which arguably this weekend there's a High Rocks. That's classed as mass participation. There's only 4,000 people attending that. So, you know, if you look at, I mean, it's not worldwide, it's just in the people. Yeah. I mean, there are people coming from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not a mass participation event because that's just the females. If you take the males as well, it's going to be about the same amount. So you're looking at probably somewhere just shy of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
That's not the teens or anything.
Yeah. Ben's happy to claim that title, by the way.
The fittest Ben Cole in the world.
Yeah, but I guess the fact that you've paid for the Open, you've then paid for this, you're investing money, time. The equipment list itself meant you needed to go out and potentially find little bits of equipment, find a high enough ceiling, find a dumbbell that's going to be heavy enough to count for this. So it's kind of like if you're doing all of that, you're more in than somebody that was just like, well, they told me that anyway, if I came to do the WOD on Friday, it was going to be the Open WOD. So I did it.
Yeah.
Or like for us in CrossFit Bath, and it was like, and if I signed up, it got my like in-house team X number of points as well. So I signed up because, $20, who cares? It got my team some points. That's very different from anyone who had that higher, see, Ben, he had to go out and buy a 32.5 kilo dumbbell.
And when you're 16 and 17, that's a lot of money, a 32 and a half kilo dumbbell. You know,
Just,
he had to deliver a lot of papers for that.
Yes.
I assume kids don't have paper rounds. They get like the old decrepit people to do it for them these days.
They do. They just send it by email.
Yeah.
They're not even doing that. They're YouTubers now. That's agreed, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was going to build on. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I was going to say back to what you said, Tom. I think if it was the old days of a 5-week open, yeah, then by all means take a smaller field through to the next stage. Yeah. But as it's a 3-week open, I don't think, no, you know, I probably wouldn't. If it was a 3-week open and take 5% or 2% through, I probably wouldn't bother again.
There's definitely some psychology involved, and the shorter the open, the bigger the percentage you need to take through to the next stage. So yeah, I kind of a potentially unpopular opinion of saying, oh, reduce the percentage, but I recognise that just reduces the opportunity for people. Yeah. Now, Jason's made a really good point that those doing this have invested in the open registration, the age group registration, probably had to buy equipment. The other thing I was going to say, and maybe there's no simple solution, I was like, increase the registration fee. So that then, if you're doing it, you're like, I've paid, I know it's already $50, right? Or is it $75?
It's $50. But you still get the same.
Absolutely.
Who submit their or do one round and submit their video of them on loop, and you know what I mean. Yeah. Or don't squat to depth and submit their video.
No simple solution is going to remove the plethora of challenges that there are with video submission. Yeah. No, I agree.
But I think a kind of more rounded test for quarterfinals and then the in-person semi-final for Masters. Would be, on a regional basis, say 30 per category would be the answer, because you can then take 10 through to the games from that.
That's how you can start to spin it out, isn't it? Sorry, Jason.
Well, here's another question I have for you, and maybe there's a simple answer, but why, even though it's online, why is it not divided into region? Like, it doesn't make, because, and I get that you would say, well, because you just want the best people there. Yeah, but I'd say we just want the best people there for the individual and teams as well. But we know that we're not going to get that, because we know that, like in Australia, the women's field, they're only going to be allowed to put so many people through, and they actually have a number of athletes that if we're competing in other parts of the world, would probably get through to the game. So like all the other avenues of competition are, well, you are sort of the best in your, geographically where you live. And why don't we do that? It gives talking fitness something to do, wouldn't it?
I got an immediate reason why it's global, not my belief on why it's global, not regional right now, is because we're still it's still an emerging sport around the world with respect to age groups. So if you look at now, you could say chicken and egg. Is the fact that it's global means that you aren't restricting the number of people from like the US, but you look at a lot of the kind of age group divisions, and they're heavily weighted towards the US. Now that could be that could be as a result of not having regions, but it equally could be a reason not to have regions.
I think you'd have such a scope of disparity in performance if you took a Masters athlete from America and then versus a Masters athlete from Africa, where the sport's a lot younger. That you couldn't do that regional. And even if you had in-person semi-finals, I would say you have your podium on the day at the event, but your scores from your workouts go onto a worldwide leaderboard.
You're not necessarily, though, taking an athlete, and this is the interesting thing about the CrossFit leaderboard, right? You're not necessarily taking an athlete from Africa. You're taking an athlete who comes from the continent of Africa, that was born in Africa. So you might, there might be pockets of,
Jason
of
Smith,
African, of South African heritage, for example, or whoever,
Well, it's Jason Smith, isn't he? He's a South African athlete.
We've actually come full circle as we approach the hour, actually, because right back at the beginning we were discussing that kind of Masters is kind of going through potentially an evolution. It's dropping down to 10, and then it's really going to expand after that, potentially even spin out into its own competition. And actually, maybe what we've got to reflect, we're looking back at the last 5, 6, 7 years of age group CrossFit Games. It was perhaps more of a showcase than it was like a rigorous competition. And that's not to belittle the effort or the achievement, but it's just recognizing that, we are potentially going to see, a small year and then it getting massive, more competitive, live regions.
Yeah, hope so. But I was fortunate enough to go and watch the games in 2014, and we watched some of the Masters competition, and those guys worked hard, for the standard that CrossFit was at in 2014. They were phenomenal and doing things like Nancy on the track there at Carson, fantastic, absolutely inspirational. 10-11 minute times, which were up there with the top athletes in the world at the time. So I think it's always been a tough competition. But yeah, it would be nice to see it spinning out into a bigger event. Definitely, it give us all more to strive for, I think.
Insights from T. Watkins.
Age groups getting their own season will be the period we need to see if teams should get their own. The proof. Okay, he's corrected himself in the following one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben is asking what we think about the age groups and the games being reduced to 10 per division.
Yeah, I think it sucks. I think it should be 20, for the same reason that when we watched the cut year of the CrossFit Games, where it went down to 10 people, was it midway Saturday or for Saturday, Sunday? Where it just sucked a little bit, having such a reduced field. And, it meant people that would have come 12th, 15th, etc. can't take points off the top athletes where they're a little bit weaker or a little bit stronger. So,
I mean, I don't know if we've completely thrown away the concept of the games being a test of fitness. It feels like we have, but I would say for the age groups, definitely we have. Like it's a competition. It's not a test, because if you've done like the first 80% of the test online, and then against a massive field, and then you do just the final bit in person, but on a very small field where, as you say, you just don't have people that can cause an upset. They can kind of, maybe you should be 5 places behind this person and you're 1 place behind them, and or more. It just feels, which is a shame, because I think going back to, again, we always say like CrossFit want to make money, and there's probably a lot of money, as you said, like people in the age group, particularly in the Masters division, probably have more disposable income, and their friends probably do as well, who would also want to come and watch them do these competitions and do these events. And, or maybe they bring their whole family with them because they're probably more likely to have a family. So there's kind of all of these elements where you think, well, actually, if you pitched it right, it would be a better competition. It would be, because one thing I have noticed speaking to the Masters, and we say like, well, they've had it online for a long time, but I feel like the Masters athletes have always felt a little bit bitter about their representation at the games, in the lead up to the games. It's kind of like, we're working just as hard, maybe even with more difficulty than some of the other athletes, and we don't get the recognition we deserve. And maybe this is
for sure. Have you guys ever been involved in organising comps? Yeah, even at your local box or whatever.
Yeah, a little.
So it's just a huge logistical challenge to get say more than 10 people, more than 20 people through per age category, per gender. So you're really talking, you take 20, you're talking 40 per gender, and you've got 10 categories. That's 400 athletes through workout. Logistically it's huge, and it would only work in a Masters Games event scenario.
Which I don't see why why they couldn't do that. Like, instead of usually, I mean, quite often you'll have like an event Wednesday, nothing on Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you could have like a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, the final, something like that. There's space for them to play with stuff. The equipment's already there. and I get like, yeah, it's a massive undertaking. But you kind of feel as well at that point, it's like, yeah, but you are the CrossFit Games. Like, it's a massive undertaking for a local box to kind of throw something together. It's a massive undertaking for, like, you know, we had Rick Hornsey on the other day, like talking about the kind of competitions he's running because of all the other stuff you've kind of got to do as well. But if this is your, like, you work for CrossFit, you work for CrossFit Games, your sole focus all year is to program this massive event.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
It's bang for buck. It's bang for buck though, isn't it? Because
that's how it works. You know, it was Masters in the in 2014. I think Masters did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the Games did Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the same venue. You know, so it did work like that. The move away from Carson made things a bit more logistically difficult because they didn't have the track where they staged the main part of the Masters Games. But yeah, they've got the logistics to do it. They should make it happen.
So Ben, I just want to address Ben. I think Ben's. I haven't met you, Ben, and I'm being facetious. I think Ben's salty that they're not taking the top 20 because he's currently in 19th. I imagine that's. Imagine that's why Ben's a bit salty about and taking the top 10 instead of the top 20. That is a bit tongue in cheek there, Ben. But he's also throwing out that he remembers Castro. He thinks he remembers Castro on a podcast with Savan, and he was saying that the age groups would likely be separate competition in a few years' time.
Yeah, that's why I heard it.
But then in this country, like, we have the Masters and the Teens Championships as a CrossFit licensed event. But it is for the Games, it's bang for buck, right? People want to come and see the fittest people in the world. And generally speaking, the fittest people in the world are not in their 40s.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right.
And that's not me.
Do not take that, Adam. Do not take that.
No.
But what I mean is the money is within is your Matt Fraser's, is, you know, the guys who are doing the crazy stuff. And I'm not saying that people in their 40s are not doing the crazy stuff, because some of them are savage. Most of them, everyone who's at the Games is going to be an absolute savage, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting to the Games unless you're a savage. But you're not, if you Masters and Teens are not pulling the crowd that the elite the top elite individuals and teams are pulling. And unfortunately, that's the bang for buck. Yeah. But what they could be doing is using some of that revenue to promote the Masters. But actually, what we've seen on the coverage is they're promoting, I'm gonna get shot for this, but they're promoting affiliates in a way. You know, the whole idea of the every day sort of, I saw I think CrossFit UK reposted one of the gyms a couple of days ago, showing real CrossFit in real life. So like a kid doing a burpee, like looking for something under his bed and then jumping up, and that kind of stuff. And that is real, throwing my son in the air and then catching him again, it's your push press or a thruster or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
But think from the point of view of a sponsor, is ESPN going to want to pay to show athletes in their 40s and 50s on TV? Is anybody going to watch it? Probably not. But
unless it's like Takeshi's Castle or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
You get that. What's his name? That football commentator.
Chris Kamara. Yeah.
The commentator, couldn't he? Yes. Anyway, he did ruin Ninja Warrior single-handedly. But if you think about the sponsors, and if you get a Porsche, a Tesla, or Audi, are they going to sell many cars to 20-year-olds, teenagers? No. Are they going to sell them to people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s? Yeah. So it's flipping the thinking about the sponsorship for the Masters elements of the Games, because the people turning up there and the people watching online on YouTube are the customers for the sponsors there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
But, yeah.
And I think, you know, if you're talking like at the games or whatever, you've already got, you know, you're saying bang for your buck. We're not saying go out and do a games and another like another time in the season do a game. So like you've already got the facility rented, you've got it already for that period of time. So even if you sell some tickets, it's better than no tickets and an empty stadium, right? You've got people that are maybe traveling quite far, so they're staying for a week. So maybe they're like, oh, you know what, I can actually pop in and see something, you know, earlier in the week when I've, you know, what else am I doing maybe? So, and then this point about, it's probably, maybe they're less people, but maybe they're the people that have got the money to spend. So, you know, your vendor village is going to be enjoying their presence.
But it's like splitting the vendor village between the two competitions, because it's two different audiences who want two different things. Yeah, we all want nobles but can't afford them, you know, but having blenders there for the youngsters and Oakley there for the oldsters or whatever, you know, and car equivalents and whatnot that goes on in the vendor village.
Here's an interesting question. Have you ever heard of the World Masters Games?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
you have. Have you ever heard of it, Jason?
No, I have not heard.
Have you ever heard of the World Masters Games, Tom?
Yeah,
Tom. If drop a comment in the comment section if you've ever heard of the World Masters Games, because I'd never heard of the World Masters Games, and I've just Googled, is there a Masters Olympics? Okay. The answer is yes. It's every 4 years, but it's nowhere near the Olympics. So I feel like we're being a bit harsh on CrossFit just because we're trying to make this deal of let's get Masters athletes involved, let's get teenagers involved. Yes, there's the youth games and there's this and there's that. You know, there's not a Masters World Cup. There's not.
I feel that you and Ben is saying no. So someone responded to your comment, hadn't.
There you go.
But
well done, Ben.
I've noticed a trend over the last 71 episodes that quite often when we're talking about something, your go-to reference point is the Olympics. And I feel like that's a very different kettle of fish, because I think within the Olympics, you have specialities. And within those specialities, people that are a fan of that sport probably would know what the Masters equivalent or the youth league is of that sport. That would be my defense on there. But ultimately, and also
hasn't heard of it. Okay. What all right, what about the golf's a bit of a bad one because they're all old anyway.
I've heard of the Masters.
But they're okay. Maybe in the comments, name me 3 sports where they have a Masters category apart from weightlifting.
Triathlon.
Does anyone watch it?
Yeah.
Does anyone apart from you watch it?
No. I
know. To be fair, triathlon is pretty.
It's well set up in that.
Yeah. But cycling, the Tour de France, there isn't a Tour de France Masters. I mean, some of them probably are of an older generation, but they're not. You know, there's not a specific like section. Televised section, should we say then?
Yeah. I think it's different, and it doesn't really matter if I mean, CrossFit's now its televised model's gone to YouTube for free, hasn't it? So
a lot of the Masters can't work out how to access that anyway.
Yeah,
they have to get the 14 to 17-year-olds to get
open a new window. What's a window? No, on your computer. Yeah. I think it's different to specialist sports, definitely to cycling.
Yeah.
In cycling, because I used to do it, there's a huge scene for 1 day 100-mile or 80-mile, 60-mile events, you know, that go on an amateur level, you know, for all comers, categorized by age category, you know. So there is a scene there. It's just like it's under the radar.
Well, there we have it. And the age group online quarterfinals was a fun chat about that. Well, and Ben's final comment on the matter is maybe CrossFit should be setting the new standard. And I think it circles back round to what we were saying before about more and more people coming into CrossFit that are older anyway. And probably they do want to see people like them throwing down. And it's, again, you know, you name another sport, but name another sport where the people that watch the sport actively do that sport 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. You know, even if they like football, maybe they have a kick about the weekend. But
you're right.
Yeah. And you know, unless you've got to remember as well, CrossFit's quite young as an organisation. They've just kicked Castro out. There's a lot of errors. You know, the new guard is coming in. Yeah, I know. But it's evolution, isn't it? Because you look at the large scale games, it's what, 10, 12 years old. Yeah.
It's young.
You're still learning, still evolving. All the changes at the top don't help.
I always compare it to the Olympics, which is like 500 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Seems a bit unfair.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of instant gratification society. Plus, old people like me aren't getting any younger. You know, so we want it perfect now, not in 5 years' time, because we could be dead by then.
Well, you've got another 20 years of categories to go, surely.
Well, hopefully, you never know.
Yeah, I mean that's the danger, isn't it? That the older you get, and you get pushed into those like older and older categories, and then they'll be like, yeah, we're going to do in person this, that, but we're only going to take until this category, and you're going to be like, oh, I'm just aged out of that category.
Just a few years behind the curve, you know. But you know, it's also things like scaling that they've got to get right, because as us more skilled athletes get older, we're going to carry those skills into older age as well. And you know, the cock up for the pistols in workout 2, for 55 plus, that it said they may do box step ups weighted with a dumbbell. And there's the ambiguity. Some people were doing pistols, some people were doing box step ups. The intention was everybody did box step ups. Well, what about the skill for that age, you know? So there's still a lot of work to do at CrossFit's end. So when you say they should be setting the new standard, they've got a long way to go to sort out their own house before they set the standard for the world, I think.
Okay.
And I'm an affiliate. Yeah, I'm an affiliate owner. I'll say that. So you know,
and he's like, and I'm also available if they need someone to.
For kids' parties, bar mitzvahs, give me a shout.
Kids' parties, you're just organising a CrossFit throwdown for these like
weighted box step ups at the latest bar mitzvah. I can see go down a treat.
Oh, right. Well, we better wrap it up here, because as we're all masters athletes, we're also all dads. We also we need our sleep. With, you know, this is that precious time where the kids are asleep that we can actually get stuff done. So we can't waste it all. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
It's been an honor. Thank you for asking me. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and as I always say when people do this, and you shared our posts, and you built the hype before you were coming on. So future guests, just, you know.
Yeah, take notes.
Take notes. Thank you very much, Tom and Sam, for joining me as well. Of course, you can follow Tom at Chalking Fitness. We didn't plug it as much this week as normal, but at Chalking Fitness. You can follow Sam at La Roche Original. Adam Kudryl is at Cudders, so that's nice and simple. I'm at Jason CF Media. You can follow us on plate.stack.chat on Instagram. Thank you for everyone who voted in the poll that I put up about whether the jump to the rings or the ring muscle up was more impressive. I think the jump to the rings was winning at the moment.
It was definitely the jump. Yeah.
That was pretty high.
And
I'm quite short.
If you do want to be a guest on a co-host on Plate Stack Chat at any point, do give us a message on the Plate Stack Chat DMs, because then I don't have to deal with it. We'd love to get you to get in touch. Young, old, fit, unfit. We're all just the same. We love CrossFit just as much as each other.
Oh, nice. All right then. Well, thanks for that, Sam, for ending the episode.
Sure. I'll just awkwardly smile, Sam. Well done, thank you.
You can take us out then.
Oh. Love you all. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao, bye.